More excerpts from the Perennial Philosophy of Aldous Huxley. Here we have page 51. The Logos passes out of eternity into time for no other purpose than to assist the beings whose bodily form he takes and to pass out of time into eternity. If the Avatar's appearance upon the stage of history is enormously important, this is due to the fact that by his teaching he points out, and by his being a channel of grace and divine power, he actually is the means by which human beings may transcend the limitations of history. Reading excerpts from what's that? Just whatever's underlined. Who's it? This is the underlining approach to reading. Yeah. It says here that they're talking about Huxley now. He says, I loved Saint Teresa and read her over and over again. Remember Saint Teresa's the castle, what was the thing that she has? The interior castle. He loved it. It's a little something about when enlightenment is perfected, a bodhisattva is free from the bondage of things, but does not seek to be delivered from things. Samsara, the world of becoming, is not hated by him, nor is nirvana loved. When perfect enlightenment shines, it is neither bondage nor deliverance. The Pruna Buddha Sutra he quotes from. Now, here's something. What life can compare with this? Sitting quietly by the window, I watch the leaves fall and the flowers bloom as the seasons come and go. He's talking sort of like Zen Buddhism now. He's talking about the bliss of the mental tranquility. If you exercise yourself in the practice of keeping your mind unmoved, the unmovable you gain is that of one who has no consciousness. If you are desirous for the truly immovable, the immovable is in the moving itself. He believes in moving. Hui Neng. There's a little about literature here. He mentions the book Buck's Cosmic Consciousness. He says Byron, for example, wrote a splendid passage of Childe Harold's, as Shakespeare, as Wordsworth wrote in Tintern Abbey and the Prelude. Of these matters, no human being may presume to pass definitive judgment upon another human being, but it's at least permissible to say that on the basis of the biographical evidence, there is no reason to suppose that either Wordsworth or Byron ever seriously did anything about the theophanies they describe, nor is there any evidence that these theophanies were of themselves sufficient to transform their characters. The enormous egotism to which the De Quincey and Keats and Aidan bear witness seems to have remained with Wordsworth to the end. And Byron was as fascinating, tragicomically ironic after he had beheld the one in all things as he was before. So she's a passage from Wordsworth. It says, "The beauty of the flowers and landscapes is not merely to be relished as one, quote, wanders lonely as a cloud, unquote. About the countryside is not merely to be pleasurably remembered when one is lying, quote, in vacant and in pensive mood on the sofa in the library after tea. The reaction must be a little more strenuous and purposeful. Quote, here, my brothers, quote, says an ancient Buddhist author, quote, are the roots of trees. Here are empty places. Meditate." A man may gain the right to live in the world as though he were at home in it. He must make a total denial of selfhood, submit to a complete and absolute mortification. At one period of his career, Jesus himself seems to have undertaken austerities not merely of the mind but of the body. There's a mention of the oxherding picture so popular among Zen Buddhists. There's a brief account of the metanoia, as the Greeks called it, this total and radical change of mind. You have no mind in Zen Buddhism. Similarly, in the Diamond Sutra, we read that if a bodhisattva, in his attempt to realize suchness, retains the thought of an ego, a person, a separate being, or a soul, he is no longer a bodhisattva. Al-Ghazali, the philosopher of Sufism, also stresses the need for intellectual humbleness and docility if, quote, if the thought that he is effaced from self occurs to one who is in fana, a term roughly corresponding to the Zen's no mind or mushin. That is a defect. If you're aware that you're effaced, then you're not effaced. The highest state is to be effaced from effacement. There is an ecstatic effacement from effacement in the interior heights of the Atman Brahman, and there is another, more comprehensive effacement from effacement, not only in the inner heights, but also in and through the world, in the waking, everyday knowledge of God in His fullness. This is from the third patriarch of the Zen master. The perfect way knows no difficulties except that it refuses to make preferences. Only when freed from hate and love does one reveal itself fully without disguise. 1/10 of an inch's difference, and heaven and earth are set apart if you wish to see it before your own eyes. Have no fixed thoughts either, for or against it. To set up what you like against what you dislike, this is a disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of the way is not understood, peace of mind is disturbed to no purpose. Pursue not the outer entanglements, dwell not in the inner void, be serene in the oneness of things, and dualism vanishes of itself. When you strive to gain quiescence by stopping motion, the quiescence so gained is ever in motion. So long as you tarry in such dualism, how can you realize oneness? And when oneness is not thoroughly grasped, loss is sustained in two ways. Denying the external reality is the assertion of it. The assertion of emptiness, the absolute, is the denying of it. Transformations going on in the empty world that confronts us appear to be real because of ignorance. Do not strive to seek after the true, only cease to cherish opinions. The two exist because of the one, but hold not even to this one. When the mind is not disturbed, the 10,000 things offer no offense. Fana never falls asleep. All dreams will cease of themselves if the mind retains its absoluteness. The 10,000 things are of no substance. When the deep mystery of such suchness is fathomed, all of a sudden we forget the external entanglements. When the 10,000 things are viewed in their oneness, we return to the original and remain where we have always been. One and all in one. If only this is realized, no more worry about not being perfect. When mind and each believing mind are not divided, the undivided are each believing mind and mind. This is where words fail, for it is not of the past, present, or future. The third patriarch of sin. For those who have deserved the world by making themselves fit to see God within it, as well as within their own souls, it wears a very different aspect. That's it. That's it. That's excerpts from page 51 to 76 from Aldous Huxley, this Perennial Philosophy. That's why I just skim over it, and you just skimmed it. That's like skimming it.